It turns out I have some rather nice vintage Pentax lenses. I consider myself a custodian, and that this might be a way of sharing, because some of them I can't find much online in terms of video, and I quite like having a good old butcher's, that's English slang, butcher's hook, a good look. There's quite a bit of text, but I like having a good look, and I thought this is a way of sharing because others might well feel the same. So I consider myself a custodian. I look after them, I use them, and in due course they'll go to someone else one way or another. I arrived at them in the days when people were selling off their film equipment, particularly I think Pentax, because Pentax were quite slow in bringing out digitals, and they brought out, crop sensor, small sensor, so the lenses didn't have the same effect, and it took them a long time to bring out a full frame, which they have now, which is this, the K-1, and on the K-1 is the lens I'm going to look at now. It's a K-mount from mid-70s, and it's known as the Hollywood. Now, I don't know why. I did see an explanation, but I couldn't find it again, so maybe in the comments let me know. I'll tell you a bit about it if I may, and then I'll hook up from above and have a good look at it. It's known as, there was a Zeiss Distagon Hollywood, and it was designed by one of the 20th century's greatest lens designers, Dr. Erhard Glatzel. And the Pentax version was born out of a collaboration with Zeiss in the early 70s. I got all this from the internet. Who knows if it's right? You have to do your own research. Apparently this Dr. Erhard designed lenses for the Apollo mission, the Distagons used by NASA. It seems Zeiss at the time were tapping into cheaper manufacturing costs, and shared experience could well have been to do with the SMC coatings that Pentax had, some of the best coatings of the time. So it makes sense. The collaboration lasted for about a year, and then Zeiss went on to Contax Yashica, and you remember all the Contax stuff with Zeiss lenses. And it seems Pentax then had two lens designs that were shared, the 50mm 3.5 and this 28mm f2. It features a floating element, which I'm not too sure what that is. I think it moves independently of some of the others, which is for increased performance. It has a very good reputation, and it seems the optics for the Zeiss 28mm f2 were shipped out of West Germany and assembled by Pentax in Pentax's own casing. This is it then. Before I look from above, you can see it's quite sizable for a wide angle for 28mm, and I'm not sure about this hood. I somehow doubt, I'll show you from above, that this is the original because it's plastic, but it is a 28mm hood. I can't imagine, it just doesn't feel like it's a Pentax one, but I think it's a later one. Anyway, I'll set up the equipment from above and have a good old look. Well, here we are then. Let me remove it from the body. And remove I'll show you the hood. But as I say, I don't believe this is from the 70s hood. I think it's a later one. Does the job, doesn't offer much protection if you should happen to drop it. It'll probably just spring off. Whereas a metal one, which I imagine the original would offer better protection. I'll remove the Hoyer HMC filter. And here we have it. F2 to F22. F16 to F22 is full stop, the rest are half stops. What, nearly 50 years old? Very smooth. This, incredibly smooth. Sorry. Shortish throw. On my example, I can't see any haze, fungus, or separation. Haze, I believe, is where the oils kind of evaporate and leave a slight haze over the elements. Fungus, if the things get damp and there's certain spores, I believe, whatever, who knows, best to keep them dryish, can start to eat at the coatings. Can be cleaned if it's left a long time. It etches the glass, and then you're in trouble. I think you're in trouble anyway, depending on how complex the lens is to dismantle. It's kind of beautiful, isn't it? And what was the other thing? Separation is where the cemented elements start, whatever balsam it is they use to cement them together, starts to deteriorate, and you can see sort of clouding usually starting around the edge as they start to separate. Again, could be repaired, but woof. I've had it done. I'll do that. I'll mention that on another lens I'm going to take a little look at. I'll show you the operation of the diaphragm on this nearly 50-year-old lens. Perfect, very snappy. This is a later one, I believe. I think the earlier ones had the SMC in capital letters, not the slightly smaller SMC there. Not much more to look at. One more time for the focus throw. Amazing, isn't it, really? After all those years. Just going to put it next to the microphone. I may as well be thorough, and you can hear the slight, or the sound of the focus. As you can hear, grain free. And the aperture ring. You will notice, maybe, listen to this, this is going from f2.8 to f2. And here's from f4 to f2.8. And now f2.8 to f2. Whoops, clonked the mic there. So the slight difference in feel and sound on that final. Which I don't think is any kind of a fault. There's another one from this era that does the same thing, so I don't know if there's a slightly different mechanism that goes on there. And there it is. And yeah, I'll show you some photos. They're not very great, but they give you some idea. The photos are well, and I keep the filter on there because I know I've looked at what people say. Some people say scarcely any deterioration whatsoever if you use a good filter, but a lens like this, and I'm a custodian, so I think if there is any tiny degradation, it's probably better to have that than to ruin what's I guess irreplaceable, really. In closing, we'll just take a look at some images. I know obviously it's on screen and it's on video and it's all much reduced. Every one of these has been reduced from the full size and is at a lower resolution, so really it's just to give you an idea. Looking at this one of the leaves, this is pretty much as close as it will focus, and this gives you an idea of the background blur. I mean, it's a wide angle lens, but to me that's pretty good. Next one here, cropped in a fair way, and again at the closest focusing distance, and both of those, this one and the previous one, were wide open at f2. So I think again it's pretty good for a 45, 46, whatever year old lens on a 36 megapixel digital body. Another one here. I'm sorry, don't know the aperture. From the look of it's not wide open, I don't believe, from the look of the foreground, which is in focus as well. This one of the tree, the high contrast situation from quite deep shadow to highlights. Again, I'm sorry, don't know the aperture, but not wide open, excuse me, not wide open from looking at the foreground and the background. This one on a tripod, and you can see the starburst. So the lens was stopped down somewhat. I think this was round about f8. And you see the grey car to the right, second car in. The next one, I've zoomed in on the computer so you can see what kind of quality you're getting. This is already reduced somewhat from the full frame. And the final one of the car, which I think is pretty outstanding, really. So there we have it. Hope it's been interesting for some of you and of use to those of you who've been, like myself, looking to get some examples of these lenses and a good look close up. See you next time.